Oh, yeah, we are live. That
So, hello everybody. Today is Sunday. As you know, you Cindy Martin Quay and I, Franciane Chenworth Richardson. We're here today and we're going to be talking to you about issues that are happening in our country, Liberia. And we apologize. Usually, on today, we are on this radio station in Liberia, but when it rains, sometimes our radio stations do not work. So you would just be hearing us by way of Facebook, and perhaps tomorrow they are going to relay this message. But it's going to be an important conversation. Nevertheless, just join us, grab your popcorn, your tea, relax, and we'll be here to talk about issues that are trending in Liberia. So I'm going to, at this point, just turn it over to Yacindy, and she's going to have different um, important things to tell us, different messages to tell us. Go ahead, Cindy.
hello, Doc. Welcome back home after
Yeah,
traveling the world without me, and I'm
I
jealous.
know, right? I
Without
know,
me,
right?
yeah,
I know,
without me.
right?
Okay, and having all that fun. You're not supposed to have fun without me. Anyway, my brother with this, so that's good. But
Mhm.
let's say hello to all of you. We're looking forward to a great conversation today. There are a lot of stuff that we have to unpack, starting with the Supreme Court. And not only the Supreme Court, the confession of the Speaker of the House, Attorney Representative Punani Kofa, how Liberians have been duped over the years, how we're taking plant seller who say they can relate to the issues that are confronting Liberia with respect to poverty and all of that, and they can relate to taking a guy selling gas in their glass bottle to making them multi-millionaires. That's what we're going to talk about. We're gonna just from the horse's own mouth, but the focus today will be on the Supreme Court um, decision. And Doc, I wanted to acknowledge Senator Justin Yo. Liberian women have a history of bracing the storm and actually making decisions that have redirected the path of the nation. I can go as far as when they talk about somebody like Suwakoko, right? A native woman who didn't know how to read and write, a little woman who protected her boundaries and her people. Then we come to um, Ruth Perry. After about 10 plus years, 11 years of civil war, where women were being SA violently, babies, the women God were being, you all know what it did with the old word, babies taking out, wanting to know the sex of the babies. Um, Ruth Perry led Liberia at a very tumultuous time where they have power sharing. I think that's where they call it power sharing. When all the different factions came together and the other person wanted Minister of Finance, the other person wanted telecommunication, the other person wanted. There's very people who brought the war, the very people who were killing our people, the very people were giving the resource center, the foster, the blood of the nation to suck on as the breast of the nation were being just ripped off. But she managed it. She kept it together until the next meeting. And then Ellen came along, her first turn. She put some things in order. She undid some stuff. And then we got this judgment today. This judgment today with Justice Yananyo and Justice Clinton Johnson. I want to say hats off to the women for being brave, for standing up to speaking, standing in the truth, regardless of where the thought were at stake. Because I remember one of the justices actually asking for security and protection. I believe she had been threatened, her family had been threatened, for her to be asking for protection. Here we are. Um, our Pape Boaka said he was going to be what? A rule of law president. The first violation was what that? The tenure position. He said he will adhere to it the next day. You suspended the people and replaced them. Now here we are. So I'm going to start right here. If you're here, welcome. We appreciate that you're here. Let's learn together. You educate us as we educate you. Life
Yeah.
every day we both are educator, so we know learning is a lifelong journey. You never get it all. That.
Absolutely. Yes. So today we'll be joined by Madam Grace. I like to call her. She is a member, she actually is the USA chairperson of the CMC party. She'll be here just hanging out as a panelist with us. I also like to let you know that we'll be joined by Madam Wadei Powell. She is a female business entrepreneur in Liberia. She'll be discussing trending issues, her thoughts on the recent elections, her thoughts on living in Liberia, her thoughts on what's going on with the legislature. Um, so I want to just welcome all of you. We are always very happy that you can join us on this Sunday. We're going to just start by discussing our trending issues. And I will start by saying I read in the newspaper this past week, I believe it's been the past 2 weeks. I think, Lucinda, you are familiar with it. That about a couple of females were accused of human trafficking about
Yes.
14 children in the red light market district area.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how disgusted, how alarming, how you know, a range of emotions, but then they weren't good emotions that I was experiencing when I heard that news. First of all, I just wanted our population, our audience to know that 7 out of 10 human trafficking victims are girls.
Our
7 out of
girls.
10, they are girls. That's the one of the reasons why it bothers me so much that I'm bothered. Okay. Um, and I also want to just bring out some of the psychological issues, the environmental, social issues, psychosocial issues that can happen when you human traffic a girl or even a human being. One, we know that these kids were very young, I think they were not even older than 14. They were very
I
young.
think they were like 8. Some
Yeah.
of them were like 8, some were 10, but they were all under I think the either 10 or below. Yeah.
Yes. So imagine somebody taking your child from their home, keeping them somewhere for a while, 14 persons in one place, area, maybe a small room. You're putting these 14 children to sleep in a small room without their parents. And when I mean parents, it doesn't, in our culture, it doesn't really have to be a biological parent. Maybe they're family members
Mm-hmm.
who might even show love to them without showing
Mm-hmm.
love to them. And then you're taking them and you're keeping them, you're sending them all the way to another country because that's what human trafficking is. We can have
Yep.
some internal displacement where they can take the children in, they put in, somewhere they keep them. Okay, that's the beginning of the human trafficking saga. And then, of
Yep.
course, they were planning on sending these children to other countries.
Yep.
So when we send these children to other countries, number one, they're losing their childhood. Childhood is a very valuable developmental stage in your life. When you have your childhood, at least you can play. I know my own child, I used to play that hibiscus playing that you see that we used to border around our
Mm-hmm.
homes, to make
Mm-hmm.
it
Yep.
your border. I used to make my flowers, so I used to be playing cooking, with it. So that's
With chicken interest.
yes.
I know. We do that. We all did that.
Of course. And you know what that did for us? It helps your imagination as a child. It helps
Yep.
you develop as a child. It helps you see yourself in different roles, in adult roles, because I was cooking, when I was playing with that hibiscus flower, or sometimes when I was, serving in the office, saying, okay, I'm whatever I wanted to be at the time. I would role play that. Okay, I was a teacher, and I put all the flowers along and say I was teaching the flowers. So it helps your imagination. So those children, they're not going to be trafficked for them to develop, like the way how we're developing to help our children. They're going to be slaves to someone. They're going to be working. Someone's going to be waking them up. Are they going to be maybe a sex worker? They're going to be sexualized, a sex partner to somebody. Okay. So there's disruption in that whole family system. So now think about that child, that 8-year-old child, 10 years from now when they're 18, 19. What do you expect to get in front of you. It's by the grace of God, some of them will be strong to carry on. Okay, some of them will be strong, married to be a good parent or a good person, a good citizen in society. But these are our future generation that we are taking away from us. So, I mean, I was just disturbed by hearing such a story, and that's what was on my mind. And I wanted us to, if you're in that business of human trafficking, please stop it in Liberia. Okay, please, if you know anyone who's in the business of human trafficking, just stop it. Okay, it doesn't help our country. We are taking our future generation. You don't know where these children will land or who they will be. You are taking them and trafficking them to another country so somebody else can disrupt their body and their childhood. It's not good. So we need to stop that. We need to stop that. So if you see anyone in your neighborhood, they're having plenty poor children in, no here, no tear to their story about why they're having all these children, report them, get involved, ask them questions. And that's what I wanted to say. Yusini, did you have anything to add in terms of what's on your
I
mind?
actually do. I actually do. I think I had an opportunity to present on women and children. In fact, you're one of those people who have been with the research on human trafficking. You're so right. Majority of the people that traffic are women. In fact, those who traffic, I read an article somewhere doing that particular research where it says humans are more lucrative when it comes to trafficking, right? Because they're reusable. Like drugs, you sell drug one time, but with human, you don't sell them one time. You sell them over and over and over. You wash them, and other people use them. So I'm trying to make it as decent as possible, so it's not so gross. Okay, so just know you got pedophiles. You got, especially in the developed world, you got men and women who like babies.
Yes.
Okay, they're
And
sick in their mind.
in the undeveloped world too.
Yes, they're sick in their mind. Okay, they will pay, okay, to violate a child. All right, and even in Liberia, in fact, there is a video that's making a run on Facebook, and that we had the conversation before. 2017, I was in Liberia there's a hotel right there, I think around the 13th Street area. And at the time, my sister-in-law was managing it. So when we used to go sit out there. A big person in the Liberian government, okay, came in their car. Yeah, came in their car and brought in two young girls. We were sitting outside talking, and apparently went inside. I was not looking, but my sister-in-law was looking. So after some time, she got up and she went and asked the people working for her and said, "Where did the man go?" Said the man went upstairs. Said, "Did he go with the girls?" Say yes. When she knocked at the door, nobody was answering. Knocked at the door, open the door. The two little young girls are there. She said, "You get out." And told the man, "Get out." He said, "But I paid my money." She said, "I'll refund the money. If I'll give it to you twice." Said, "This don't happen here. You don't bring people babies over here. You're a grown man. You got kapakosa. What if somebody was doing this to your child?" Then she called the young girls. He said the people will mess you up, that you will never be able to find who you are because the spirit will go with you. The man said, "I didn't know you were running a convent over here. I tell you, you were running a hotel." I saw that particular one on Facebook. A man made a video of it where he saw a neighbor going in the place and say, "I'm calling your wife to come." So all of us have to be our children keeper. It may not be your child at that time, but you don't know who will bother with your child because they're taking advantage of your child. And to the mothers around Africa, in Liberia, stop giving your children to people in the name of going to school. And that's why some of us are advocating that let school be everywhere. Okay? Let the government build schools. Let school be free. Look at that place, Burkina Faso. If that little boy, okay, 34 years old, can come out and say, "We educate our people. School must be free." Nobody will be taking their child to send them to Morovia, to Grand Bassa in the name of school, to be slaves and be selling the market. That will learn that majority, over 60% of the children that's selling between cars in Morovia, they're trafficked to Morovia. They're trafficked into obesity in the name of coming to the city to live with people, to go to school. That's what it is. So if
Yes.
you're doing it, you need to stop.
Yes.
It scars you, Doc. It scars you for the rest of your life.
Does. It does. And and this is why when sometimes I talk about sexism, okay, I talk about how to decide, the strength of a woman. Some of us, we are women, and I was surprised if you see, if you look at the charge sheet of the people who were trafficking,
Mhm.
majority of them were women.
Oh
They were
yeah.
rubbish. Okay. So when a woman internalize the experience of the sexist men in our society,
Hmm.
okay, when they
Hmm.
internalize that, they do the same thing.
Oh
When
yeah.
a sexist men feel like women belong in a certain category, like how Koga think that we shouldn't, we should
You know
be.
what I'm about to say? I was just about to say that, but thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
Koga believes that women should be in a certain place, and that's some men who believe that we don't have the strength to be at the table. We don't have the strength
Hmm.
to make decisions in our
Hmm.
country. We
Hmm.
only belong in the kitchen, barefooted and pregnant, because our brain is cannot be compared to theirs. They are more sophisticated than us. They are higher thinker than us. We may be different in terms of our biological makeup, but our strengths are different. Okay. And so when a man thinks that a woman is below him, he will drum that into the heads of women. And then a woman then will internalize being less than. And the only way she feels that she can get caught up or she can be strong is if she treats another person bad.
Yep.
Okay. And so she's not even thinking that I'm
Oh, so that what
okay.
happening like bro with all these women jumping on the abuse tree, and because
That's
they
it.
will make them feel important. It makes
Yes.
sense. It
Yes.
makes sense.
Okay. Yes. And so there's different levels. All of us, we suffer from sexism, every woman, because we live in a society where the world is a man's world, and so we have to suffer to be at the head of the table, or to be a part of the decision making at the table.
Mm-hmm.
But some women, they want to get it so easily, you see, they want to be able to relax and take in all of the abuse that
Yep.
from men would give them, and then project that onto somebody else so that they can feel like they're important. Okay.
Right.
They will abuse other people. All right. And so this is where I come from. When you tell me the story about, those little girls, they don't know better about you taking the girls to the room. Those girls, they don't, you are a man, you're in a position of power. Okay. You should know better than the girls that you
Yep.
take to have sex with. Okay. The people who are taking these girls or these children into human traffic circle, okay, into the ring of human trafficking, those people, they want to make themselves important, and so they are using other people's children. They want to use money. It's very evil. They want to, because they will get paid for these children, and
Yep.
so they think that they can use money instead of their value to
Yep.
be a bigger person. Okay, they can use money to say I'm powerful, or just money that will go away in a couple of days to say I'm rich. Okay, and that
Yep.
is what is happening when we talk about sexism. Okay, so I just wanted to throw that. That was what's on my mind. Whoever, if you're a man or a woman, and the funny thing about it, the ringleader, I tell you, if you dig down, and continue to dig down, you'll find that our ringleader of the sexism, human trafficking, the ringleader of human trafficking, he's a man.
Yep. Usually is. And those women may have also been abused, and they are like slave
That's
to
what
them. Yep.
that's
Mhm.
exactly what I just I was trying to say. So
Yep. Mhm.
hurt people hurt other people.
That is correct.
Okay,
That is
so
correct.
when they were marginalized severely, we all are marginalized, but they are not able to realize or conscientize their marginalization by other people. Like I know, for example, when I walk into a room, the position of a man and how they're going to perceive me. So I already finished calculating that in my brain already. So, and I know I have my values, my own person, and my standard. So I know what is it I'm going to put out into the world.
Right.
I know that I don't like to hurt other children. I know that I'm supposed to respect and hurt and help other children, other women. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be put in a position. If anyone asks me to be put in a position to hurt other women or children or another human being, I will not do that because I know who I
Exactly.
am. I know my value. But there are other people who will do it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah. Indeed.
Yes. So that was my issue. On the agenda. Any other training issues do you have? Like the agenda will be
Uh,
the two issues, and we'll
I,
talk.
I wanted
Mhm.
to play this Kofa video on what is training where he's telling the Liberian people
Okay.
about about what they have been doing to the Liberian people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The so-called ways and mean. That's why everybody want to be on ways and means. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to. I want to play this. That
So,
Liberian
so
people
if
hear
you,
it.
if you play that, you see this. So there's been this question where people are arguing that since the Supreme Court said that the rule of law caucus should put up their legitimate speaker, which is Fanatic Kofa, the one who was legally elected to represent our
Mm-hmm.
people. Okay. And then so somebody said, well, if the Supreme Court is saying that these people are legal, then they are also saying that the budget was passed illegally. So this one budget you keep talking about, the one budget you keep talking about was illegal. Is if when you see me play the tape, you will see how this budget has the one that you deemed to be legal.
And that budget is an accounting issue. It can be rectified.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes,
can be rectified. So
yes.
let's play this really quickly, Doc,
Let's see
and
how
see
legal
what
this
we're getting.
budget that we talk about, this
Right.
Ways and Means Committee is can be.
Right. Let's see how it works.
Mhm.
How they come from selling plant, selling gas in glass bottle on the sidewalk, and became a millionaire and buying property in other people need. I just found out, I guess in Nemakante, or if somebody got to say the Mandingo people come in there, everybody will go vote for the devil if they want to.
First time really going through the budget, the problem of Nigeria. Because usually it used to be on a year or nay foot. But because these 55th members said we're not going to pass anything yet, okay, you saw my own brother type one way letter, a small brother, just asking me, as speaker, we're not going to do business as usual, and I think this is what you're doing. But when this budget came, okay, we open it up. You know how the budget used to run? It would come, and I don't know if your people can see, you see this new budget book in my hand?
Right.
We don't read every line. We pass the budget in categories. Then we give it to Ways, Means, and Finance Committee. And on our Ways, Means, and Finance Committee in the 54th, there were usually 3 or 4 guys. You know what they would do with that? They go sit down to Boulevard Palace Hotel in room 1026. And they would shift all these numbers here. They would adjust all these numbers. They would call agencies. They would call our ministries. They would say, we put your budget is $2 million. We're going to make it $3 million. You will give us $1 million, and you can keep the $2 million. We gave you some. That's the negotiation that went on in Boulevard at the Juris Doctorate degree. I'm ashamed to say the budget that President Boyka sent to us.
That can you imagine that? Can your Liberian people? I know the defender will can't defend. Okay, although you don't got food to eat, although your man they rush your mother to the hospital today, you will be begging people. She might sit right there in front of the hospital and die, but you're going to be a caller brigade. I am ashamed. Okay, I am ashamed at this point to say these are the people that you send out. Okay, to work for you, to look out for you, to look out for your children, to wash your rice kitchen because the government is like a father who everything is given to manage the family, but neglect the family only for he himself. Okay, you give the time chief, they will be the time chiefs, the rice kitchen key, and he only take it for he and his friends. They go straight to Boulevard. You see how those people became millionaire? That you see?
Yeah.
And let me say this. All of you know Punani Kofa have never been my guy. You know that. But the law, I will always be. You know, somebody, when I write, somebody came under my post and say, "You always on the losing side."
They always say that to me
Yeah,
too.
and I said, I'm not on the losing side. I'm always on the side of my conscience of what is just equity. You can win and lose. What good are you win? Who are you winning? What did you win? What did you win? You win and show your dignity. You win and what? Show your respect. You win, you show and betray your country. You betray your own conscience. That's not winning. You got to live with yourself. But I will
Absolutely.
always be on the side of truth. That's it. That is that. Sometimes when you win, you lose. Sometimes when you lose, you win. I want to be able to sleep at night. Did you all hear that? Did you hear that?
I
That
heard it.
what come.
Yes, yeah. You know, I want to take this conversation from the point of where people are saying that if the Supreme Court is saying that Richard Cohen, okay, the purported speaker, the anti-rule of law speaker, Richard Cohen, if the Supreme Court is saying that he's illegal, it was under him when Joseph Boakai passed, sent the budget to him and his legislators to pass it. It was Joseph Boakai sent it to him, okay? This was the beginning when some of us were arguing that, Joseph Boakai was part of this problem. He should not have done that. So they are saying that the budget is illegal, as well as Richard Cohen. If the Supreme Court says Richard Cohen is illegal, now the budget is illegal. That's what they're arguing. I want to say, having listened to this, what you just told us, our budget has never been legal in the first place. Okay? Okay. And usually, when lawsuits are won, you don't repair everything. There's some things that are just not, they cannot be repaired, period. Okay, like we can go back, for example, when the lawsuit went into board first, the Board of Education versus
First the Brown versus the Board of Education. Yes.
Yeah. There were kids that were in all kinds of bad schools. They were in separate but equal. That's what they called it at the time. The schools were not adequate for Black children. But when they made that law, okay, they didn't go back and repair all of the schools, make sure they have competent teachers to represent all the race and everything else for the children. They didn't do that. Moving forward, they said that schools should make sure that these kids are combined and have the same quality of education that the kids who are not Black would have. The same thing when they ended slavery. All of Black people, when the civil rights came and they abolished slavery, when slavery was abolished, they didn't come in and say, oh, we're going to send reparation to all the Black people in this country. We're going to prepare all of the trauma and all of the separation of families as the result of slavery. Nobody said that. But what they said, moving forward, the United States will not practice slavery as we know it. Okay? And that's what happened. So I'm going to say the analogy to the court system in Liberia. We are going to start first by putting in the legitimate speaker. He was removed by the process of gangsterism. That's how I like to call it. We had a few group of anti-rule of law people got together. They didn't get the 49 as required by the House rule, to remove a speaker. They just jumped in there and made their own rules and made their own speaker. And the court system, the Supreme Court is saying, I am going to reverse that. We are going to start first. And, Yesenia started, she said, yes, I'm going to give credit. We have majority women on the Supreme Court, justices sitting there right there. And, they were good. They ruled first. I wish so that we could have stuck to that ruling, that they could have made it clear for everybody to know, like how they have made the bill of information clear for everybody. Okay, But again, you can't blame it because of how we wanted to interpret how our country wanted to interpret how our leaders wanted to interpret. They were clear. They used the word ultra vires. Okay, that they told us that it was ultra vires for us not to have uh the majority the for us not to have Kofa in his position. That's what they told us. Okay, it was ultra vires for us to have Kuhn running as the speaker. She said that they said that whenever the speaker was not in place, that's why they needed a deputy speaker. And the speaker was in place. He was not out of the country. He was not dead. He was alive and kicking. Okay, and they recognized that. But they got a different interpretation by the executive branch, you know. And so our president, President Baka, should have stepped up. He could have put his foot down and said, not under my watch, this is not happening. Okay, but we let this go on for so long. But thank God for the wisdom of those women who came together. Although I'm a little bit suspicious of Justice Johnson, and I'll tell you, because the bill of information went back. I think, in as much as Kuhn said that there was the branded as they don't respect the court, but then they went there. From what I heard, they are going back to the court, or they went back to the court again to say that the court
for re-argument.
Yes, for re-argument to rehear the case, to say that the court should not interfere in the legislature problem. That's one of the arguments that they're using to say that there's separate branches of government, although they work in coordination. Okay, but there's separate branches of government. But this was according to how the re-argument worked. And again, I'm just from my little reading that I did, there were 4 of them who agreed. Okay, Justice Bissett, he was a dissent. He dissented from the argument. And so now if Justice Johnson, right, that's the one who I'm a little bit hesitant about, because I know her husband is in the UP Unity Party, and I know he can be professional. That doesn't mean that anything can happen, anything funny or tricky can happen. But if 1 or 2 of them dissent, we could have a problem here. Okay, we could have a problem. So I hope that that's not the case. I really hope and pray that that's not the case.
So Doc, let me say this to those who, you see, I love when
let's welcome Grace just joined us. So
okay.
Welcome Grace, and then yes, Grace,
thank
welcome.
you so much. I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm on the road, but when duty call, we have to show face. So I say, you know what? I'm showing face tonight. I'm here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So while you're in a car that's not safe, we don't want anything to happen to you. You're not
the beautiful thing is that I'm not
driving.
driving. My husband is driving, so I am safe.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. We're glad that you could join us. So I want to, and we had extensive conversation on the role of each branch of government. And those who are talking, they have not read Article 2. Okay, they have not read Article 65, 66. What's the other one? 66, 62, 65. They have not read that. But 62 certifies the foundation. It is the justices. The Supreme Court is the only one that can review and tell us if something is constitutional or unconstitutional. Their job is to administer the law and to interpret the law. It don't matter from where in. The executive role is to implement or enforce the law. The justices have made their call. It is the responsibility of Pape Bouaka. We didn't elect all the people. They had a meeting before Pape came up. Let me say it to you from my mouth, because I got a lot of calls. And what they've started doing is they give to him what news they want him to listen to, what TV show he should watch, what newspaper he can read, but the thing is, and nobody should be surprised. Because remember during the campaign, when people said the Pape need to rest, what did the people say? He does not have to do nothing. They will run the campaign. They will run the government. So we cannot be surprised and you cannot get mad. This is what you voted for. You voted that he just be there and be a face, and the rest of the people will run the. They said they are not doing what the Supreme Court says. So now this is where the citizen comes in. You see that, and I think this is one of my favorite things. It's also Musa's favorite thing, but we echo that. Power resides where power is recognized. If you feel powerless, you're powerless. It is we, the people, who have the power. When the Liberian people decide they will hold their elected official accountable, they will do what they want them to do. That's the way it's going to work. So these people are there looting, okay, and telling you the Supreme Court does not have rule. What is the Supreme Court role? Is it to pass judgment on the poor people? It's within their jurisdiction. So in essence, if you're suspicious of Justice Clinton Johnson, we'll keep our eye out. Okay? And what really funny is, remember when Justice Bassey was in Ganta and had a when UP people were calling me out and cursing him, today they're praising him.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, they described his talk as liquor talk. Do you remember?
Exactly. So for them, that what I've come to realize is it's not about the truth. It's not about the nation. It's not about the law. It's about them. Okay? Because almost everything that was wrong yesterday, that they condemned, that they protested for, those very things they're doing that and more. Remember when Mo Ali said, when I think Lovetta and Dolo said they need to follow the Supreme Court decision. Okay? And Mo Ali came and said something. And she said, so you want investor to come here, so when something happens, they go to court, and you say you're in the court. He said they need to stay away. Remember when they went to court with CPP and people say if they break up, CPP will not win. And we always say in power. Remember, Mo Ali said it has to be UP or we will stay with CDC. So for them, it was not about CDC being bad. Okay? It was never their argument. Their argument was the stealing, the killing, the lying, the rape. It was not them that were performing it. That's why it was wrong. But if it was then, it's not wrong. And based on everything that they're doing now, I can surmise that what it was.
Yeah, you make a lot of sense. It resonates. Grace, we're talking about the Supreme Court ruling. I wanted to hear your thoughts and your views about it as we actually wait for Wadei Powell to join us at 6 o'clock. I did send her the link. So what are your thoughts about the Supreme Court ruling?
Well, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and their ruling stands no matter what. So I felt highly, supportive of the Supreme Court ruling. And I think they did the right thing because it was just like broad daylight. Everybody's seeing that exactly what the Supreme Court said was what they were supposed to say. Now the part where the government, the president don't want to abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court, that's the concern here. I would say that he don't want to abide. He doesn't want to abide because his statement made recently, although people try to sugarcoat it and say that he mean forum in this way, it could be either side, but you can see right here that the president is siding with a so-called majority bloc. And the president is siding, in my mind, he's siding in it with the so-called majority bloc because he is them. He orchestrated this whole thing to happen. Rachel Kuhn is being used as the puppet on the string to carry on what they want to do in the back. Because you and myself know that if this president did not side with the Rachel Kuhn and the majority black people in this time, where we know that the Supreme Court interprets the law that is supposed to be even, some of the laws supposed to be even made in that House of Representatives, the president will not be going against this and will not have all the rumble and drumble thing going around the country. This is not rocket science. So, I mean, I'm hoping that this president will make up his mind to do the right thing, because the Liberian people really just gave him a free chance to take leadership to carry on his legacy. So if he wants his legacy to go down the dream like this and keep our country stagnant, then he should continue to not abide by the laws of the land. We just want to tell him that no man is above the law, even the president. The law, you cannot change the law to suit you. So we hoping moving forward, come this week, which we're hoping to tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they should have decided to do something concerning this. Because all the Liberian people know, and we know on this platform, that Rachel Kuhn is not a legitimate speaker of the House of Representatives. And Liberian people were not accepting as that, period. So I want to say to the people, I wrote on my Facebook page the other day, and I want to rephrase it to them, is that the power, let me just do it, let me say it forbidden. The power, because it was written by this Chinese, this one Chinese monk or something, he said it. The power of the people is greater than the people that are in power. So the power of the people is greater than the people that are in power. You don't have power more than our people. A majority of the people in the country saying that today that Rachel Kuhn is not a legitimate speaker and they should go back to status quo and do the right thing. It means that the people have spoken and the law of the land, which is the Supreme Court, has spoken, and the people in the Supreme Court, they are saying the right thing, and which is the law, and we demand that the president abide by that. That's what I have to say when it comes to this whole Supreme Court ruling. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, from all indications, reading what the president's statement said, he said he used a key word for me was continue. I will continue to work with the whatever he wants to call the so-called quorum, and whether it's constitutional quorum or whatever quorum. But who was he working with before? He was working with the majority bloc. And the president is telling us that he will continue to work with the majority bloc. And I said this before. I got very uncomfortable when I saw the president snub Fonati Kofa.
I saw that too.
Do you remember that
I saw
incident
that too.
on the Capitol ground?
That, let me interrupt. What does that remind you of? When he said on the stand with his hand up on the Bible, he didn't know commies.
Exactly.
But continue, man. I
Yes.
just want to say, me and just adding,
Well,
connecting.
for me, it's like you are president for everyone, for all Liberians, regardless of if we like you or we don't like you, regardless if we vote for you. That was very unprecedented. That was not presidential. So for me, I began to think, it began to ring a bell in my head. Like, is this president really for the interest of the Liberian people? Is he for all Liberians, or is he just want?
The guest is here.
Oh, great! Because I was wondering how. I think I said, if does he just want a regime speaker? And for a purported speaker like Richard Kuhn to come and tell the Liberian people, I'm a regime speaker, you are identifying when there's supposed to be a check and balance system. You say to me, anything the executive branch pass, and I'm a speaker of the legislature, I'm in charge, it will just go free. That's what I heard. That's exactly what I heard. So you see it? Are you seeing Wadei in the back? Or
she's in the back, so I'm gonna let you do your thing before I bring her on.
Okay. So
before you introduce her, can I play this video really quickly?
Yes, please play it.
I think it would suit her well.
Mm-hmm.
It would suit her well. Suit her well.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need. Okay. I'm gonna play this video, Liberian people. I want you to listen up.
I became aware of in my traveling recently through Africa and the Middle East. In every country that you go to, usually the degree of progress can never be separated from the woman. If you're in a country that's progressive, the woman is progressive. If you're in a country that reflects a consciousness toward the importance of education, it's because the woman is aware of the importance of education. But in every backward country, you'll find the women are backward. And in every country where education is not stressed, it's because the women don't have education. So one of the things I became thoroughly convinced of in my recent travels is the importance of giving freedom to the woman, giving her education, and giving her the incentive to get out there and put that same spirit and understanding in the children. And
So I'm gonna stop here, Doc. I thought that was powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're getting an informed, a powerhouse, an educated woman on. But I'll leave you to do your introduction.
Yes, thank you very much, yes, Cindy. I just heard Malcolm X he said that the degree of progress can never be separated from the woman, okay?
Yeah.
From a woman. The
Yeah.
degree of progress can never be separated from a woman. And he was describing how when he went to societies that were working towards advancement, he saw women playing pivotal roles in the advancement of society. But when he also traveled to societies that disrespected women, saw women being disrespected in those societies. So therefore, he made a conclusion that the importance of giving women freedom is pivotal to advancing in our society. So today, our guest is a Liberian woman. She currently lives in Liberia and she plays a very important role in Liberia. She's been involved in the business aspects of Liberia. She's posted so many tips on how to succeed in Liberia, which I like the best when she writes. She's also was a candidate, for a district in Montserrat County.
District 7, right?
I believe so.
District 7, yeah.
I don't remember, but she was involved in politics, so she will be discussing anything today relating to Liberia. So I want to welcome Madam Wadei Powell to our program today. Wadei?
Hi, ladies.
Hi, sis. How are you?
Yes.
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. We
It's
look
just-
forward to a inspiring conversation with you. Hopefully that our daughters can take you and that you can empower them and let them know that the world awaits their contribution, like you are making your contribution. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. It's been a while since I've been on any of these shows. I decided to take a very well deserved break from the madness, and I am still on break, but I decided to take a hiatus because of the two of you.
Yes.
And join you guys tonight in this conversation.
Thank you.
I hope that I will make some sort of sense tonight to somebody out there.
Thank you. And it's okay for us because I'm so used to calling you Wadei. I think just for the audience sake, I'll be calling you Wadei as opposed to.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes. And I also want to take this time to, I don't know if you've met Grace Brewer. Grace is also a voice for women. She runs her own female organization, and she is also the USA chair for CMC.
Ah,
Yes, she's
good to meet you, Grace.
I think she's frozen, but she was driving. So.
You first step past Musa. I just want you to know.
Well, I think everybody knows that if anybody knows how to handle Musa, it's me. So
yes,
we'll be just okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Faucet Jack. So can you just, if you want to just take this time, I know everybody should know you in Liberia. If you don't know Wadei Powell, then you're on a rock or something. But just tell us briefly about you, what you've been up to lately, and of course, you can speak about what's going on in our country as well. Pressing issue is the Supreme Court ruling. We heard that there's supposed to be a re-hearing, but maybe your thoughts on that would be just a great way to open up this discussion.
Okay. So I'm Wadei Powell, Liberian. Moved back to Liberia. It'll be 20 years in October.
Wow.
Yeah, October 5th. It'll be 20 years since I went back home, and remained in the private sector there for a very long time. Not involved at all in politics until around 2016, 2017, when I joined the Brumskin camp to
Mhm.
support his presidency for 2017. And I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, it stuck. Um, and so I remained in that space, I would say, until 2023, which is when I took my break. And since then, been focusing on business. I'm in law school. I went to law school, so
Oh, so
been
first, are you
on
guys
that.
still in the first semester
You
yet?
know, I'm
That
coming
yes,
out. The first person
we
that
have
go to law school to Liberia.
we have completed our first semester,
Okay.
and
I know you guys. Otherwise, we're gonna see your results on Facebook.
I know, right? My result, I'm gonna be the only one on Facebook. Um, no, it was an exciting semester. It was a very challenging semester. I'm not sure if you guys know much about the Liberia School of Law, but we have some of the best instructors, what I like to call the creme de la creme of legal minds, and these are people who know their craft. Um, both in theory and in practice. And so, very challenging semester, very eye opening, I should say, because we all think we know the law, or we know law, or we are lawyers in our Liberian setting.
Yeah,
But I will
everything.
say that actually going to law school and learning the law will humble you, because you really come to know a lot of what you don't know and what you don't understand about the legal profession. So I'm having a great time learning at this stage of my life. But one of the reasons why that propelled me, besides it's been a lifelong passion of mine, law school, I always wanted to go. But especially at this stage and with everything going on in the country, it's important to understand the legal landscape of the environment that you're in, especially if you're involved in politics in any way. It's important to understand the law and what the law says about you know different things, different aspects of living in the country. So I'm excited about that. Um, Still doing my business. Um, been more so recently just watching and being very quiet. I haven't spoken on political matters or national matters in a very long time, purposely, uh, and I will keep the reasons to myself, but purposely, generally because I think that we put a lot of our sweat, blood, and tears into putting forth a candidate for the 2023 elections, and the citizens decided that that was not what they wanted. And so, and that's what I feel is my job to put forward, um, promote, support, talk about people who I believe are good for the country and moving us towards the trajectory that we need to be moving towards in order to succeed. But at the end of the day, it's up to the citizens to decide if that's the direction that they want to go in. And as we all know, and I'm a proud one percenter, by the way, um,
Awesome.
99% of the country decided, hey, that's not where we're going. So so I was purposely chosen to remain quiet and just watch how the other 99% of the country, 99% in air quotes, uh, are performing, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah. So yesterday I'm gonna give you the opportunity to ask Wadi a question. I did have a question. What
No,
she
but
said.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
So yes, I'm also another proud one percenter, and I think Yesenia gave a brilliant reason to be proud of being one percenter earlier. She talked about, how voting by what you feel, your value, not just voting because of popularity, So those who voted, the 99 percenters, do you think people are truly voting because of what they want, what they think, or because of, somebody says stomach infrastructure? because of a bag of rice or a T-shirt. So have the Liberian electorate, the voting population, have they actually gotten to the place where they're voting based on what they want for themselves, or are they voting based on religion, popularity, I don't know, brother, sister, family relationship, money, and all of those different things? What do you think about it?
So I think that generally in politics and elections, this is just not just a Liberian phenomena. Generally in elections, people vote along the lines of interest, personal interest, not national interest. It's personal interest. And another thing that is very powerful is the people around me, right? The people who influence, my life, influence my thoughts. Who are they saying I should vote for? And that conversation is huge when it comes to elections. I think the issue of the what we would like to refer to as a stomach election, I think that's actually a secondary or even maybe a tertiary a factor in the election. One of the greatest hindrances in our elections is this trucking thing. People, especially at the representative and the senatorial levels, people are trucked all over the country to go vote for people that they have, no knowledge of, and that's where it comes down to the bare issue of transactional elections. But I think more important than that transactional election, I think a lot of people vote along the lines of tribal lines. People vote simply because this person and myself, we are from the same village, we are from the same county, we are from the same town, we are from the same whatever. This person, my cousin, we're from the same tribe. I think religion even plays a lower role. It does play a role, but it plays a lower role than the tribal elections. People are so we identify in Liberia so much along the lines of tribe. That is the number one way in which we identify. Most people in Liberia identify. And you hear it so much so that when you introduce yourself or when you hear someone's name, the first thing they're trying to figure out is not who you are, but where you from, what country you from, what tribe are you? So it's a huge defining factor in our daily lives, and it's also a huge defining factor in our elections. And you mentioned earlier that I ran in the Montserrat, the 2023 Montserrat elections for District 7, and I like to think that I came out of that election quite successful, although I didn't win. But considering that this was my first time in an election, this was my first foray, real foray into upfront politics. I've always been in the background, but into upfront politics and getting out there. Where I placed in the election, which was a number 5, and I was competing against people who had been at this game 2-3 different election cycles and the incumbent and whatnot. I believe that I did extremely well to place where I placed in the election. Now, again, the question was always asked, what's your tribe? Where are you from? And I think in Liberia, a lot of times, me particular, for example, and other people like me, being from the Congo background, that plays a huge role. The Bassa part of me helped a little bit, but the fact that there's the Congo background, there's this innate fear of going back there, or being ruled by, or all of the fears, whether they're rational or irrational fears, all of those fears play a big role. I've had people say to me, well, everything you're talking about is right, but yeah, that's not what he says here, because the person be a long time, the the person they not suffer. So like you do that this time, just come at it next time, right? So the factors that we may generally think that should be the basis on which people should elect their leaders are not necessarily the factors that they elect them on. Now, you got to ask the question why. What is the source of that? What is it that makes you and
Mm-hmm.
I and people who feel that we should vote on these levels? What
Mm-hmm.
is it that makes us have that mindset? And what is it that makes people who don't vote the way we vote have the other mindset?
Yeah.
And all of my life,
Mm-hmm.
all of my career,
Mm-hmm.
I've always put forth and I've studied and I've always tried to promote Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes. Yes.
And if everybody was to sit and study Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we would really understand the Liberian people. And I didn't really get to understand Liberian people deep
Mm-hmm.
until I ran in Monserrate District 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people in Monserrate District 7, that deep. And when you and on the surface, when you don't, you're not familiar with it, you don't have these conversations, these intimate conversations with these people on the surface, you sit and you say, but what kind of people are they? So like, who does this? Who thinks this way? But when you actually sit down and have conversations with these people about why they do things a certain way and what their thought process is, you realize that it may not be logical to you because of your circumstances in the situation that you are in. But based on their circumstances and the life that they live in their environment, these are very logical decisions that they make. And so education plays a huge role in that. Poverty plays a huge role in that. And until we address those underlying issues of education, of poverty, of empowerment, we will never get the issue of elections right. Until we address the issue on the political level of trucking, we will never get the elections right. Until we get a conversation going around what leadership really is and start to educate people from a very young age in schools, we're never going to get around the issues that we have with elections. So our problem with electing the wrong leaders, quote unquote wrong leaders, is very deep. But you got to ask yourself the question: the pool that 99% of the elected officials are coming from, what is that pool? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I am in a part of the electorate, if I'm a voter, right, and I'm looking at someone who is just like me, as in an election, right, and vying for an election, and I'm looking for someone who I believe I have absolutely no connection with. This person doesn't understand my life. This person doesn't know, what I go through. This person has no idea the things that are important to me. Automatically, I'm going to be more inclined to vote for that person who looks like me, talks like me, is from the same tribe as I am, perhaps even from the same religion as I am, because logically, I feel that that person will understand my plight more.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter that history has told us or shown us that has not been the case, because we have done this for so many election cycles, and that is not the case, because these people get into these seats and they disappoint the electorate, and the electorate then come around and start to complain, and during the 6 years or the 9 years of the election cycle, they say, wait, next time come in, we'll not vote for you. But what they do is they may not vote for that particular person, but they vote for someone exactly like that person.
That makes sense.
And it's, again, because the logic there is, this person is like me. So we've got some work to do.
Hmm.
So this is where I wanted to come in. And I see the pastor wrote here, it sounds very bleak, but awakening. Okay. And I agree with you on almost all fronts. And I usually tell the Liberian people, because when we started this journey as that, although my name is Yah, which is like a sambo, but my other name is Martin. So everybody assumed at one point I was Congo girl. So I don't know what I was talking about. I've never walked barefooted. I've never been hungry before. So they could not, relate. But while what you're saying is true, then let's go to District 7 in Makani, right? I remember the first time Dr. Richardson and I went over there, we went to the waterbed to visit, and I heard a lot, but they could not connect me to coming from that side because I didn't speak any English to them. But I wanted to hear what they were saying. I wanted to hear the interaction, how they taught about Musa, and a lot of talk were going on. And and then we went back the third day, was the third day that I actually spoke to them in what they understood. And it seems like the wall came down. Most of them wanted to come to the compound to talk to me to hear what I had to say. And most of places that we went to talk, Doug would tell me, just don't speak English and then we'll speak your dialect, right? How dare now we have a little bit of time? How do we paint a picture? Mrs. Cummings told us Doc and I were together. She said, talking, being on this journey, and telling the people here, there, it's like you're trying to show a fire to a blind man. You must show them. They must touch it because they must feel it. Okay. If they don't feel it, they don't know what you're talking about because they never seen fire. Okay. Some of them will tell you, you're telling us to vote this person. Where do we eat? How do we live until the person comes? All right. So how do we then change the mindset? Because you voted in 2011, you got a bag of rice. It lasted for maybe a couple of days. You got a $20, maybe it lasted for a couple of days, and a t-shirt that maybe you trash it 3 days later. All right. So how do we talk about making sacrifice to our people to invest now? Because this is an investment, right? Invest now and then you will reap later. It's just like plenty of rice. You need at least 6 to 9 months. So you need to put the rice into the ground. All right. Dr. Gompu, welcome. What do we do now to be able to? I know you talk about investing in the young. I agree, but we don't have that kind of time.
So you have brought up multiple questions in that question. And unfortunately, I don't think the answer that I'm going to give is going to be the answer that you want.
Okay.
What we're trying to accomplish, we will not accomplish it in the next election cycle, or maybe even the one after, because what needs to happen is very long-term investment. What needs to happen is an intentional action or actions to educate the people. I don't mean to just, tell them to go to a school building, because we know that, the education that a lot of our young people are getting nowadays in Liberia is not education. When I speak of education, I talk about quality education. It is through that medium that you shape the minds. It's through that medium that you teach young people about civic responsibility and what that means. It is through that medium that you will be able to help them to relate the situation that they find themselves in currently, and the relationship with a future situation that they want to find themselves in, and the path that they have to walk. Yeah, let's face it. You and I Dr. Francine, we're all sitting here. The reason why we're able to have this conversation is because we got education.
Yeah.
It's because we got exposure. It's because in our homes we were taught a set of value system. It's all of those things. It's we are products of our environment. And until we change the environment that the Liberian people are growing up in, we're not going to be successful at anything. Again, I want us to ask the question, and I'm not even, because I'm totally now convinced that the executive is a secondary issue to the legislature. Our real problem is the legislature. And I want us to ask ourselves this question, because I think asking this question is where the answer lies. The people that are elected, those 103 persons that are elected to the legislature, first branch of government, where do they come from?
Amongst them.
Come from rotten environments, broken environments, environments of poor education, environments of poor health care, environments of poor home structures, right? You cannot expect these people, simply because they have been elected to the legislature, to automatically change. As a matter of fact, with the mindset that has been developed, that they have developed over the years, that has shaped them, that has molded them, the only thing that they're thinking at that point in time is, I don't know how long it will last, so why I said in here, I will collect. That is as a direct result of the environment that molded them. And so if you're looking to change the situation that we have in the legislature, for example, you got to change the environment. Now, you may say to yourself, which one comes first, the horse or the cart? So how do we change the environment if we're not in positions of leadership? Right? This is where I believe that those who know better can put their efforts. So and Musa and I have this conversation all the time. You know, Musa is the consummate politician. I'm new to this game, so he's a consummate politician. And I'm a very practical person, and we have this back and forth all the time. And I say to him, and I said to him, even, from the beginning, going into Cyclopedia, plenty of people would talk, they would have plenty to say. Don't focus on that one. Go in Cyclopedia, focus on the people there.
Yes.
You focus on the people there and changing their lives. This is where you start to change the environment.
Yeah.
Right? And we also, when I say the legislature, we bunch the legislature together as a group. But there are people in the legislature that are just simply corrupt. There are people in the legislature who are simple followers. They get in there and they just follow. But there's also people in the legislature who are good people. Unfortunately, that they are very small in their numbers, so they get overpowered by the others. Now, there's an opportunity here, right? And that opportunity is to figure out who are the lawmakers there that could possibly get on this bandwagon of being change agents, because they are the ones that have the authority, right? They are the ones that have the power, right? And then once you find them, if it's one, if it's two, if it's three, if it's five, if it's 10, whatever, right? You try to support those lawmakers to make things better in their areas. When you talk about the conversation that you had with Teresa, where she said, sometimes people got to touch the fire to understand it. Well, it goes both ways. It goes in negative, which is touching the fire, and it goes in positive, which is touching the benefits, right? People have not been able to connect,
right?
Electing someone who is educated, who has experience, who, they've not been able to connect that
And I
with
think that's
how
what she
does
was
this work for
speaking to.
me? How does this benefit me? And the only way that that happens is to help them connected during non-election years.
Mm-hmm.
Because this cannot happen in election year either. It cannot happen in election year. It cannot happen a year before election. If you really want to, move towards this path in this direction, you do it beginning the year after election and moving forward. You got 6 years, right? So we got 73 people in the House of Representative and 30 in the Senate. Some of the people there, the alright people. You gotta find out which one are alright people and see how you can help.
So Reddy, let me ask you. So, and this is you on the ground, and I'm glad you are. Kudos to you. 20 years you've been in Liberia. That means you went to Liberia right after the war. Sometimes I wish I had. We tried, and we end up coming back, or we had some little kids. I didn't want to leave my kids behind. So, you're brave. You're a very brave woman. Congratulations to you. Kudos to you. My question, the question I begs an answer is: after 2017 elections, I think we started right away, visiting towns, talking to people, giving scholarship, helping people. And then we came together as a team, and I think we made some headways. And then there were this whole wallabaloo that started right almost at the end of going into the next election. That took us almost into the election. So where did we make a mistake there? Because we started. What can we do differently now that we don't find ourselves in similar predicament?
Okay, so let's talk about the CPP because
That's exactly what I was speaking to. Yes.
I'm going to talk about this from a personal perspective because I don't want to generalize, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm speaking on behalf of CPP because I'm not. I'm speaking on behalf of, this is my personal position on the CPP. When I would have never formed the CPP. Not with the people that it was formed with. And I understand the power of the numbers, but I also believe that you can juxtapose the power of the numbers with your core values and your beliefs. And you can't look at it simply from the number standpoint and then say this is what I believe in, and then choose a partner that, okay, let's give an example. You're looking for a husband or a wife, and you know that there are certain attributes that you possess, certain value system that you have.
Yeah.
And in order for you to have a successful marriage, you need to find someone who complements those attributes and that value system.
Absolutely.
But then, you say that this is what you want, but then you turn it around, you go find somebody who you and they ain't got nothing in common. But you expect the marriage to work. I mean, now that this is all over and done, I can say that marriage was doomed from the beginning. Number one. Number two, the people, there's something called prenup, right? That prenup, they can tell you everything that will happen.
Yeah, we are
marriage here in work. All the rules, everything can be put into place. There was no prenup, so it was bound to be, a contention in that relationship because everybody sitting down to that table wants to be, they set up error. So it was bound to happen that way. You also, if you know that this is the direction that you want to go in, you let it be known from the beginning. Don't dilly dally talking about we'll sit down and we'll decide later and there's one and that one. Come on, you opening yourself up for um for these sorts of things to happen. Now, I personally, and we all know it's over and all, but I mean, from the get go, there was it was almost very clear that the party were going to carry it, especially after Brumskin's passing, because prior to Brumskin's passing, I think that everybody was it was expected that Brumskin would ultimately emerge as the Senate bearer of the CPP. But once he passed, it was wow west for everybody, and it was a foregone conclusion in based on what I saw that the support would go to Unity Party. Some of us decided that we know that what we need to do may land us not in a winning spot, but in the end, it will allow us to go to sleep and wake up in the morning knowing that we did what our conscience told us to do, right? And that's the position that I held in within the CPP and in trying to direct the support to the direction that we needed to direct it in, which was to Alexander Cummings. We all knew that it was a very, very far shot, considering the political landscape and what it is and how the voters vote and whatnot. But we also knew that it had to start. That process of showing the people or trying to explain to the people that there's an alternative.
Right.
It's leadership is not just about a popularity contest. It's about capacity. It's about capability. It's about experience. It's about connections. It's about being able to make things happen. It's about being able to sit at table with other world leaders that have a certain amount of confidence in you. It's about being able to create an environment in your country that people will feel comfortable coming to. This is what we need. It's about being able to grow the private sector. The government is not able and will not be in a position anytime soon to consume, all of the people into employment. So we have to build a private sector. How do you build a private sector without having any experience in the private sector? So these are all of the things that I knew. I believe that this is the direction that Liberia needed to go into. And so I followed my conscience in supporting the person that I thought would take us in that direction. I did not go into it, thinking, are we going to win or are we not going to win? But what I said was, we're going to go in there and we're going to pound the pavement. We're going to do whatever it takes to get us there. If we fall short, fine. We know that we did what we felt we needed to do to change the trajectory of the political landscape in the country. Now, going back to the how, Rome wasn't built in a day. What happened leading up to the 2017 election was a learning experience. Liberian people have not forgotten about that. But it took time. It will take time, and it took time. At the point in time, you had on one hand a population that was so fearful of the current administration, right? So they were like, the only thing on my mind right now, we gotta support somebody who get number, who able to PD people there.
Yes.
It wasn't about capacity. It wasn't about capability. It was a numbers game. Who stand the best chance to beat that gambling we're doing here, right? 2017. So, 2023. So now we find ourselves in 2025, right?
Yeah.
And the fear that folks had of CDC, they got the same fear of the United Party now. Even what was it? Double. So I had a conversation with a couple of people a couple of months back. We're talking about the current administration, the current situation. I said, I beg you, please, because all were in opposition in 2022, 2023. I was on my CPP side. You were on your what do you call it? Unity Party side. We told y'all the people that are there right now. When you put the other people there, it will be no different. In fact, it will be worse.
Yeah.
So if you ain't want to go out to the place we go, let's just leave the other people there. Because the new one are coming out fresh eating. They coming with you. Y'all didn't listen. So the way you come in my ear for Thomas, so we gotta figure out what we're doing in 2023. You had an opportunity in 2023 that now you want to figure out what you want to do in 2029. You're leaving alone. Joseph Parker is the president. He's the president until 2029. When you don't get it in your head that you're supposed to do the right thing and not just think about numbers, this is where you will end up. Right?
Yeah.
So what the short answer, what we want to see happen, we may only be in a position to prepare the way. Maybe that our children there, our grandchildren there will benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
To get an entire country to start thinking in a different way, we got to address the issue of unification, unity. We are so divided on so many levels. Tribe, politics, religion, every single thing divides us. We are a traumatized society. You don't live there, but we who live there. You tell somebody hello the wrong way, they're ready to fight. We see it on Facebook every day.
That's true.
People who have differing opinions cannot even have a conversation about their differing opinions without insulting each other. For what? We are meant to agree and disagree. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep, absolutely.
But what we got to be cussing each other on Facebook every day?
Yep.
It's not necessary. So the change that needs to happen in Liberia, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by 2029. We'll find ourselves in the same situation. Maybe we would have moved the needle forward a little bit, but we'll find ourselves in the same situation where people forget everything that happened the preceding 6 years. Then they start talking about no more again.
Yeah. Why I want to, brilliant learning opportunity here for us. I want to tell you that I also resonate with your thoughts when it comes to Maslow hierarchy of needs. Making sure that we take care of the psychological needs, the water, shelter, food. Then we go up to sense of security and sense of belonging. All of those things we need to take care of that in our country. As you talk about how disunited you are, but I think you say I choose to belong to a political party. Somebody get fed over that. Why you getting fed over my choice? I don't understand it. Okay, but I want to kind of transition a little bit to talk about the Supreme Court. Okay, this is trending in our country right now. We had a ruling in the past that talked about ultra vires. In many ways, when I read the Supreme Court, although some may say it wasn't clear for the Ma Mary or Ma Masa everyday Liberian, and then of course our Minister of Justice went and did his own interpretation, which was countering. It was just against, to me, my opinion, what the Supreme Court said. So we saw that the Rule of Law Caucus went and asked for a bill of information, which means that basically in my layman language, I mean, you're the law school student here, can you please put this in simple English for us? And we see that they've now ruled, they're saying that that Fonati Kofa is the legitimate Speaker of the House and Richard Cohen is not. Okay. I wanted to know what's your thought on this whole matter, what has happened, in this trending issues that I just described.
So, let me just preface what I'm going to say, so nobody can be confused.
Yes.
On where I stand on the matter. I have always stood on the side of the rule of law, and I'm not even going to use the term majority black or minority black. I stand on the side of the rule of law, regardless of whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I also am not going to reference Richard Kuhn or Funati Kufa, because for me, it's not about either of them.
Right.
Correct.
It's not a personality issue. We must understand, and let me also reference the original Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling was very clear to me. However, I ask the question again: am I the audience, the majority audience that is reading that document?
Correct.
We live in an environment where the person that has the loudest voice, the biggest platform, and a microphone, sets the narrative.
The narrative, the tune. Yeah.
Yes, sets the
Correct.
narrative. And so the Supreme Court said what it said, plain black and white letter, very clear. So even if you just take dictionary, because as a matter of fact, that Supreme Court ruling was my first time. I mean, since I've been in law school, I've had many more
We're coming to join you. That we went law school.
with ultra-virus. But the Supreme Court ruling was my first, encounter with the term ultra-virus. So I had to go read what ultra-virus mean. But how many of us are actually going to do that? The majority of us in Liberia, we get our information, our knowledge, and our education, everything about what's going on in political space from Spoon Network.
Yeah.
You and your people there. Every night, they put on listen to news, they don't listen to nothing. Every night they sit down and listen to Spoon. What does Spoon say? Whatever Spoon say that they want, we carry. And that's what happened. Spoon told the country that the ruling was not clear. The group that the ruling was against also said the ruling was not clear. The Solicitor General of the country, chief legal advisor to the president, told the country the ruling was not clear. And the ruling didn't say what it said. So when you take all of that and you get someone who has every night 15 to 20,000 people sitting there listening to the show, and you're pounding this in every day, every day, every day, every day, what do you expect the average Liberian to believe? Now, when this thing originally started, I went around in my district. I started talking to my lay people there, having conversation. I said, so the whole Supreme Court thing, what do you think about it? I said, oh my, forget that thing, man. I said, what do you mean forget it? So, what I original cool, what I for another cover, we don't care. What nobody can do for us? They fight over there when we support one side, support the other side. It can put for our whatever. It can send our children to school. It can give a hospital up. The average Liberian did not care, still does not care. Don't mind the noise on Facebook. The average Liberian in Liberia does not care about that saga. That the politician and us, or they won't be talking, Why do they not care? Again, I like to look at the source, right? When you walk in, you stomp your foot and you fall down. You can go look at the pay you fall down, or you can look at the pay you stomp your toe to see where you stomp your toe, right? The people, the citizens, have zero faith in our branches, in its capacity to change their lives, in the leaders of these branches and what they can do for them. So in their mind, if Richard Kuhn said on there, Funadi Kova said on there, it made no difference. Everybody will do the same thing. Everybody, they're fighting for their own to do. Secondly, the issue of majority versus minority. If you look at the numbers that both sides had, and both sides, nobody has had the numbers to do anything that they wanted to do. Neither the minority side nor the majority side. 49. Was that 49 ever achieved? It was never achieved up to today. So when you see people, when you see the Supreme Court has come up with this second, more clarifying, at least for the general public, and mind you, you even had some lawyers, some legal people, when the ruling came out the first time around, legal people,
Yep.
who were misconstruing what the Supreme Court said. So now that you have the Supreme Court coming out with this clarifying ruling, which is very clear now. Now we know there's no ambiguity. This is what the Supreme Court has said. You still have people saying now that you're talking, we ain't get time for it.
The president said that. The president said he will continue to work with.
I want to separate that conversation because I don't necessarily agree that that's what the president said. But I want to talk about that. So just remind me after this. You still have people who are saying we will not listen to it. When you have a country that decides their personal feelings or their personal thoughts or their personal whatever it is outweighs the opinion of the Supreme Court, then you know you have a country that is in trouble. Because then at that point, you can be very clear that there is no respect for the law. Because it's no longer my opinion of what the law says. It's no longer your opinion. It is the Supreme Court's opinion through an interpretation of the Constitution.
Yep.
And when you have that, you still say, we hear you. But we're not going to listen to it. Who does that? Who does that? So this, besides the issue of that is happening with the legislature, this is an even bigger issue. Because if you take this position as it relates to this particular ruling, this is your position as it relates to everything in the country.
Mm-hmm.
If the Supreme Court rules against what my opinion is on something, I will not follow it. Now, let's go to what the president said. Again, some people believe that the president said, I will work or I will continue to work with the majority. I believe what the president said is that I will continue to work with whoever has quorum. Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So now, whether that meant who got quorum today, and we know nobody has quorum, because quorum is not just about number.
Yeah.
Quorum requires the speaker.
As a speaker, yes.
To whatchamacallit, to lead the session.
Yes.
Or whether that means when y'all go sit and talk among yourself and decide what you want to do, we'll work with whatever you say. You know, those are the two things. Again, maybe the president need to issue another press statement to clarify that sentence, that line in his to do. The Supreme Court had to do it, right? Maybe we don't file the information to the president so he can clarify what he mean by that statement.
I'll tell you.
But I like to give benefit of the doubt. I personally, in a lot of things, I don't even believe that the president wrote that statement. I believe that there are people who are running things and they wrote that statement and it was in the president's name. We all know a lot of this is happening, right?
Yes.
Now, you cannot say rule of law, rule of law, rule of law. Now I'm about to get on the rule of law people, right? On my own people. Because I had issues. That's, you just look at some of these things and you be like, but everybody here doing their own thing, right?
Yeah.
You cannot look at the rule of law as being your pedestal, but if you pick and choose which part of the rule of law you will follow, right? And I'm going to speak directly to the issue of the budget. All of the people who said they had an issue with the people passing the budget, they ain't had no issue taking the money that came from the budget. So how much rule of law can you be standing on? As it, at its point, say in America, you standing on business? Or is it just politics?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because in my opinion, this is where tough decisions come in. This is where taking action, if you firmly or really believe in something, comes in. If you believe that these people did not have the authority to take the actions, and the budget is just one action that has been taken, because there's a plethora of actions that has been taken over the last few months. If you believe that they were not clothed with the authority to approve the budget, then you who say you rule of law should have never participated in the execution of that budget.
So are you let me just clarify this, because this is interesting. So you believe that the rule of law people should not have even accepted a salary?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was very clear. I was very vocal about that. You know. You see, I'm not one of the people that said because I agree with this group in the general principle, I agree with them in every. No, I agree with rule of law. But rule of law people, you did things that were wrong because it was convenient for you personally. It was no longer about the rule of law. It was about. I know how long it will last. I refuse the money. You know, let us. I know plenty more get for there, but hey.
No, that's okay. It's good to see from other people's lens, and that's coming from you. I strongly believe it's an accounting mishap that can be fixed. I think these people were working and they were not getting the due salary. But just from your lens, that's from your lens. I think it's an accounting issue that can be recalled, that can be fixed up. Okay. This has been going on for a while, since last September, last October. Wow. And we're in almost in May per se. And the back and forth. So anyway, like you said, you're gonna get a lot of calls tonight. I'm in the reverse. Like I said, in my word, I'm thinking it's something that the accounting can fix. But then looking at what Funani just said, I'm listening to him, that these people, they never really used to look at our budgets. Okay, they would just flip through, give it to ways and means. They then go sit in a low hotel room and call different department and say, okay, this is $2 million or $30 million. So we're going to add $3 more million. If you agree for us to add the $3 million, we will approve the budget, and that one will be for us. So all these, there's a lot that is being unpacked before us, and I'm kind of glad that this happened, because in real time.
But I think what the situation, not situation, but what this incident did is just maybe took the lid off of everything. But this has been going on for 20 years.
Yes,
from the beginning of time.
Exactly.
And everybody there, and that is the reason why the crux. Somebody might tell you say lost confidence, this and that. That's complete nonsense. The reason why this thing happened the way it happened is because the chopping process may not have been as smooth as it has been in the past. Because mind you, everybody goes sit down in the corner to divide the Bronco money and then go collect the money later on. Whoever is in charge of setting committee there, they don't want to write and to say, yeah, we approve the money being released. They don't want to participate in when the money is released, in collecting the money to be dividing it among the people who we need to go to. But when everybody is not in sync on that process anymore, then people feel threatened and say, "Well, wait a minute now. You come and can't spoil our show here. Then that's what we brought you here for."
Yep.
So that's on the majority. I'm sorry, the majority blacks side, if you want to refer to them as that, saying that's what we call you here for. Then the minority black saying, yeah, but with all the things that were happening before, we need to stop it now. Then on top of that, you say you want our audit.
You know what? I was just about to talk about that.
And,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
people that you come in audit, they
Mhm.
stay there.
Mhm.
So you will catch them for the one the day before, then you will stop the one going forward, right? No, we can't have this, right? So somebody asked me the other day, so what's the way forward? Ain't that a question we're asking, like, bro, what's the way forward? In the last, if you would have asked me, I get rich, so the man kept the code. If you would have asked me in the last 6 months since the budget was passed, the thing that people have done in the last 6 months, and they move on there right now, and they say they're going to sit down back on the floor, they're going to do this the proper way. They got to account for that money. And as long as they are in a position of having to account for that money, this saga will not to do. So we all know the situation that is the country. If this is to move forward, the executive has to declare that all of that will be null and void. It just can't continue going forward. But if people have it in the back of the mind, they know what they've done. And if they have it in the back of the mind, and these people that are coming constant here, they coming can order everything we do for the last 6 months. Forget it. We had another 1 year with no legislative action.
Wow.
I'm a realist.
No. It's funny, not because you're saying it, but that's the truth, right? Everything you just chronicle, because this is how it started. Remember the famous, what they call it? We won our, what was that? We won our share. We're not going to sit down here and the Senate get everything. Then you tell them we can't get everything. So Musa actually started this fire. He wanted audit. When we wanted them to go through the whole budget, and so you're saying it just this my reflection. Everything just coming
forefront.
That's the reality of it. Is not about confidence in Funati. It's not. No. It's not. It has nothing to do with confidence in his capacity or his capability or his performance as speaker. It has to do with a direct threat on the financial viability of a few people in the House. Not all of them, all of them, by the way. Because when you look at the people who really, know what they go on in our legislature, in our House of Representatives, all the people they ain't nobody.
Yeah.
So now you have a situation now where the Supreme Court now kind of say this. Some of the other people now rethinking. They think,
yeah,
when the trouble come, that all our here it will leave on. But all our know, we're not part of all the things they put in between. And the information coming on now say, you'll be there.
Yeah.
The thing you put them into when you will come for all of it. They will be trying by small.
Yes.
But how long is that going to take? Number one, number two.
As long as we continue to work with the core.
You also stand a chance or somebody coming to draw some more money again and say you're just balancing the play your air.
Okay.
So is this something that requires, I don't know what the process or the procedure or the powers of the executive are, but just say everything you're not doing to pay your leader on. Let's move forward.
Exactly.
And as we're moving forward, no matter anything, I say you did it, but if you did it before, don't do it again. So everybody start on clean slate.
Yes.
As long as there remains a threat of people being held accountable, especially for what has happened in the last 6 months. I'm not even talking about the order, especially for what has happened in the last 6 months in the budget and all, because you got people in the House and the executive who caught up in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The executive can get a man until the people in the, I mean, the legislature can get a man until the people in the executive collect the money and they kind of get it on ownership.
Of course.
The point is, they can get a amount that the legislature say, okay, we'll put the money in, but we'll put. So it's
So like a whole cycle.
yeah. So you got a lot of people whose behinds are on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, this is what happens when you are the president. Everything gets left on your head because all of these people in the executive, they report to you.
Yeah.
Now, what's very disconcerting to me is the way how some high level people in the executive are being so vocal about their opinions on the matter that is so disrespectful to the Supreme Court. You can have your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion, but you must realize that when you speak as a member of the executive, a member of the legislature, a member of the judiciary, even if you are expressing your personal thought, you no longer have the luxury of speaking as a person. Everything you say comes to the public as coming from wherever you represent.
Yes, definitely.
And people seem to just have decided they don't care. They say what they want, how they want, whenever they want.
Our country.
Because there are no consequences. Like you're saying now, you're saying to us, okay, if people know they're going to be accountable, then they're going to hold their country hostage. We're not going to go anywhere. The only way we're going to move forward is to say, okay, it stops here. It stops now. We're going to start with a new slate and move on. Then when does it stop, though? When does it stop?
So this is the thing. If you are very clear that it stops here, trust me, yeah. If you've been stealing for 6 years, when the time you stop here, you say, yeah, tomorrow you go steal. It will catch you on what you do tomorrow. When you roll, you roll. So now the executive come and tell you, stop here, will stop you from stealing. When you roll, you roll. You will do it again, and the opportunity will be there to catch you.
But who's in our country that you would give the responsibility to say, okay, you as the authority, the leader should. I'm just asking you now. I don't know. I'm asking who should this leader be? Who's this authority person should say the buck stops with me?
The president.
Okay.
The president.
Moving forward. We got a clean slate.
The buck stops with the president on everything.
Okay.
Everything. I mean, look at the budget process. Look at what happened in the budget process itself. Budget finish passing, Paul goes down to President Hall, goes down to discuss adding some more money in the budget. What is that?
Craziness. Completely.
What is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the country we find ourselves in.
Absolutely.
When you talk, then some people kind of say, "Oh, you hear love, you because you 1%." Yeah,
1%. Yeah.
So
maybe next time around we'll increase it to 2%. But we'll never be part of the 99%.
99%. I like that.
Who believe that this is what is supposed to happen? But as a investment, me during the what do you call it? I'm gonna share a joke. So during the second round, when it came down to George B.I. and
Boca.
Me I supported George B.I. Because the one that coming for us, yaka. You would think the other people that said they're doing the thing they're doing, they're just doing it that kind of way. The other one that coming, you would not believe it.
Yeah, you
so some of my friends call me from the diaspora, people who knew me. I'm shocked. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so So I said, first of all, if you ever call me again to tell me you disappointed me, you will not let my reaction. You said now in America, you don't know what going on the ground. You want to tell me from America how disappointed you are in me. Don't call me with that to do again. So about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, two of my friends come in.
I just know what would be
They're
happening.
going to tell you, sorrow. I said no, put it in writing. But when you were telling me you were disappointed me, you put it in writing. Go put it in writing. You come here to tell sorry. I said, man, we didn't know. I said, because you're not on the ground, so you don't know everything that we on the ground, especially we on the ground. It's like we know the people. It's not just about the surface. We know the individuals. We know that we know.
Yeah, I know.
So what just what lead the whole, just skip the whole election? Would you go?
And so, I can't see again. Say your other thing.
Oh, nothing better. Maybe the other part of stomach were going to be forced to say, let's slow down a bit. But I want to fresh off the rack.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the people who get hit the most are the poor people.
Yeah, definitely.
But they will continue to be in that bracket as long as they keep electing people on the basis that they elect on. When I was running in District 7, I used to tell everywhere I go, I said, let me just say this to you. I said, yes, so I probably visited 80% of the homes and businesses and education. I went every school almost. I literally went to, I did a door-to-door, foot-to-foot campaign. Just, I don't want nobody to say they say. I want you to hear what my message myself. But what I would always say to them was, you see me? They play, hey, what I win the election, my life would be all right. So I'm not doing this because I need anything from you. I'm doing it because if we continue down this track, somewhere down the line, our children futures become, to do. So funny story. 2 months ago, boys there. It's a kind of not gonna do a couple months ago. They say, hey Omao, you're 11 cheese, yo. I said my left cheese. I said if I say my left cheese for the better number, I said because my left sponsor money is staying in my pocket now and not going nowhere anymore.
Yeah.
The women killing me. So they put aside together. They say we want audience. I say, yeah, well, I remember said they want audience with you, Mono. So we want audience with you. So I say, you can't talk. We sat under the tree. We just came to tell you sorry. We didn't know this and that. But Oma, we can't hear you talking no more. So I said, let me explain something to you. Everything that is happening now, especially you're in District 7, everything that is happening right now, I told you it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You decided that the direction you will go. So that meaning one looking at a crazy there to cast out to you left your district there, yeah. You went to a different place to go vote. You left your district to go different place to go vote. All the rest of the year, you bring your voting card. Half of your year, you're in voting in the district. If all of your year bring your voting card and say to 7, I will give you money. You didn't bring voting card. So I say you left your district to go different place to go vote. Then you say I'm gonna come be talking against the man that brought his people in the district to vote and won his seats. To talk for what reason?
Exactly.
He don't owe you nothing. I told you when I owe you nothing. You vote for him. You vote for him. So what you send the man left, send the man won the election, the man can come out, the man
but you didn't vote for him.
You vote for him.
Yeah.
What do he owe you? Which part of that do you not understand? You don't vote for the man.
Yeah.
Now the entire time going the election, he said, I know the formula now. They point here, but follow me on there. I will die again.
Yeah.
So whether before we close that, let me ask her something, because from my observation in traveling around some of the candidates, you and I, that obviously, and then talking to people. And this is personally, I don't want you to go over. I want you to just from your own um, insight on an experience during this election. And I know they spoil milk too. And I'm coming from here because I'm coming to this election. I just took place in Nemakani. A lot of things happening. I know a lot of things happen. The selling of voting cards, which is not, they don't transport. The people just go ahead and buy a voting card and hold on to it. You get to the pool, you already voted, and there's nothing you can do. Do you think we did our best in securing the people who actually cast vote for us?
You in 2023?
Because with me, we were with Musa.
In 2023, me?
We're talking about 2023.
And
2023.
you mean when you mean CPP?
It's CPP. Yes, CPP.
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. Not only did we not do a good job in securing our votes, we did a horrible job. Horrible job. But you know, that was inside to do what to.
Yeah.
But there are many factors. You all know some of the factors. But there are many factors. And let's not forget, they seem to say that what they call the jury on them, that they seem to say that the magistrates are UP people. You know, so lots of lessons learned, and you know, obviously this is not the platform that I am talking.
No,
you know,
I just what you said was
lots and lots
really
of lessons learned, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So I know that, and I want you to answer this and make your final comment. I think, I want you to just talk about the state of women in Liberia.
Yes, please.
Especially, there's this whole issue of women that was just the past few recent election. Gender was a hot topic. So in your closing comments, can you just include a little bit of your thoughts about the state of gender and women in politics? And I have to just tell you that I want to preference my question to you by saying that we recently elected a female to the body politics of Liberia, and I learned a lot from that election. I learned how to think carefully. I learned how to not just vote because somebody is a woman. So I want you to just speak about that.
Okay, this is another one that I'm gonna get in trouble for, but hey, I'm on a roll.
Don't call me again in trouble tonight. Wow.
Yeah, I was just telling said I'm Francine and yeah,
That's okay.
So I have is a constant conversation that I have with a lot of my friends in Liberia, my colleagues, female colleagues and friends, on this issue. Now, I 100% support female political participation, and I support it on the basis of having equal access to the process. And whether it's the electoral process, the voting process, the campaigning process, to not be harassed or anything like that, or the processes at the National Elections Commission when complaints are filed, or the processes at the Supreme Court if those complaints are not handled by NEC and have to go up to the court. So I fully support and respect that women ought to have the same access to participation. I don't necessarily support that any gender or that gender should be the primary basis on which um, you elect a leader. I don't ascribe to the philosophy that women are any less capable of being corrupt than men. As a matter of fact, I think, and the men may get vexed. I think women are much smarter. We know how to do everything better. So we can be we can be corrupt better than men.
Mm.
Now, as it relates to some of the battles that we've had, um, I have actively, whether it's my time, whether it's my other resources, whether it's my money, supported women who have been elected to both the House of Representative and the Senate. And it was on the basis, I mean, if I'm supporting a woman, it's on the basis that there are certain things that you will do when you get that the men may not focus on and may not do. So your preference as a woman is not simply because you're a woman. It is because you're a woman and will and have promised to proffer, to promote, to put the agendas that are important for women and children on the floor. Education
Mhm.
being a real priority for me. Unfortunately, they have not done it. Not a one. So for me personally, everybody has a right to their own belief system.
Mhm.
For me personally, I see no value in electing a person because of their gender
their gender.
outside of the additional value that you bring to the representation for the issues that affect women and children.
Mhm.
I also have see no value in electing people on their gender, especially in this case women, because we say men are more corrupt. But then you get there, you become the guy king of corruption, you become the queen of corruption,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, for me, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my resources. Let the best man or woman win. If that being the case, and that's my personal opinion. And others have a lot of my friends have a much different opinion. On this, some of them even say, well, if the man will be corrupt and the woman will be corrupt, then let's put a woman that she can be corrupt too. For me, it's I don't. I rather just not be a part of any of that. I come from the background of earning your success. Um, and that is because everything I've never had anything handed down to me. But I happen to have started my career off in a country that gave me equal access to go
Right.
after what I wanted to go after without having, to be relegated. But what that meant is that even though on the books I had equal access, but once you get in the door, you got to do 2 to 3 times more than what your male counterparts are doing to be on par.
Yep.
But understanding that, at
Mhm.
least I had the access, I had the capability of getting my foot in the door, and
Mhm.
so I did it. I worked 2 times, 3 times more than my male counterparts to get to where I am. So I've earned every single thing that I have, in my life, in my career and whatnot. So I believe that people need to earn it. I think that anybody when something is just handed to you without you working for it, without you earning it, without you showing that you're worthy of it, you abuse it. And
Absolutely.
that's not a gender issue. That's a human being issue. So no, I don't necessarily believe that you know people should be elected to a position because they're women. No, I don't. Oh my, I beg you, I don't, Mom, better, I don't get first of me, or Mariah, I beg you, I don't get, yeah. So we're going. I wasn't in town for Mom and Mariah had a birthday. So I wasn't in town for that. They had not this, but one had this weekend. One was like 2 weeks before. So of course, when I get back, I told her, I said we got to have our private celebration. So I know they would grimy.
And that's
Well,
what I'm
but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you want to give us your final thoughts before we leave? And it was just wonderful. It was a pleasure having you, Wade. I'm sure our audience enjoyed listening to you. I want to say, I know when you get back home, you're going to get in the grind. So it'll be hard to get a hold of you again, but please come back. We want to hear more of you. I think your voice, you add a very, very, very important piece to this whole conversation of women having a seat at the table. Women voices need to be heard. I think you just bring an extra extra point to it. So please come back. Cindy, you have anything else to just add as
No,
well?
I want to tell Wadei, thank you so much. It was inspiring. I mean, we didn't expect anything less. We need more women like you. We need your voice out here. We need our daughters, our sisters to see that they do have a place to stand. They do have shoulders and feet to stand on to be taller. We need the visibility so they can see themselves in us. We are not on the ground, you are on the ground. So visibility will help them. When I heard a man say, women don't belong here, do you see women in that for me, it just did something to me.
So you see, even in that particular instance, right? So I was not supporting any, at that point in time, any candidate in the race. I wasn't, on the gender tip and whatnot. But the fact that he said that,
and that was
that mindset. I
spoke
out about it.
Yeah, that was my motivation, okay? Because I was looking around to see with the, I know the story with the gear stuff was not because Dr. Gompo were on the ballot. Experienced, educated, had a platform, believe in education and women's right, was on that platform. But so it was not about, and I don't want, I guess I'm the one, that's the reason I'm the 1%. I don't want my people to be voted based on what tribe they belong to, what gender they are. It should be what they have to bring to the table. Can they build the tent wider that others who do not have the same capacity can live and live well? Okay, when you talk about Baslo and all of that. So, but we need you visible. We need your voice. When we came back, my husband told me we both we need a therapy. Yes, I was down. I mean, every now and then I reflect, but when you were talking, we're not ready. It's our children. You saw my face drop, my shoulder drop, because I'm losing hope that I will not be able, after 40 some more years of speaking up, standing up, fighting. I'm losing hope that I will not see the Liberia that I hope for.
You might not.
And that's the reality that I'm trying hard not to face. But we have to circle back and say, how then do we start looking for women that we believe can get somewhere and hold up other women, hold up the things that are dear to us, like empowering women, education, making sure our girls
work with the young people, the young people. Start instilling that in them now. Work with organizations that are working with young girls. Speak with them, mentor them. So if you start with a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and you start instilling in them that they are important, they are enough, they can transcend. If you start that messaging with these young people, you understand what I'm saying? And having a platform that you guys have, let that be an actual priority. Let that be, if it's a once a week program just for young people, how do you reach them? What are some of the things that will attract that audience to come and sit and want to listen to, Cindy and Dr. Francine, let them become attractive, because the adults, the ones whose mind has been molded already, you can't do nothing about them. You can't do nothing about them. And so that's why I say we might not, because if you figure, if you starting with the 13s now, you might get some of them in 2029. So you have a chance of, moving the pendulum a little bit. But if you continue that for another 6 years, you continue that for another 6 years, you start to breed a society of young women who start to think a different way. And it's the NIMBA elections were very clear that while many of us on the outside, where they're talking about women's empowerment, and that what's his name? The guy that won? What's his name?
Yoga.
Yeah,
Koga.
Koga. What he said, shouldn't have said what he said, and we were all huffing and puffing about it. It is clear that the women of Nimba said, "Yo, where's more? That's our issue. That issue not important to us."
Oh, I saw them here not in Nimba, here in America.
Yeah,
Here
so
in America.
so so that's the dichotomy, right? You are, again, we're talking about an issue that is not a platform issue of the greater society of women in Liberia. Again, it goes back to the same education, it goes back to the same exposure, it goes back to all of those things that has allowed us to even be able to think this way. Yeah, you think if you had grown up in that environment, Doc, you think that the thing that you think about now, you would be thinking about. No, we are thinking about these things because our environment, the environment of group, was very, very different. So although it is a priority for some women, it's not a priority for the women on a national scale. And so to make that a priority for women on a national scale, you have to start introducing it to young girls, so that they grow up into that thinking. You're not going to get 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, 50-something, and upward women who are entrenched in that way of thinking in an environment to change today. You on your own.
Yes. Yes. Any other thoughts? Why before we let you go?
No, that's it. I will try to I get back to Monrovia next week. I have a week left of my break, and then I am back in school. So I'll be back in my corner minding my business and focusing on my schoolwork.
Yes, we'd love to have you back. I hope you take my
Yes, please.
to come back when I ask you again. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And we are planning to be home. I don't know when. I have a few graduation. Maybe in the fall we'll be home.
Okay.
Tap into different places. Tap into young girls. I mean, we have a few young girls that we're being supporting.
And not just young girls, yeah, not just young girls, because again, if you're looking at changing a society, you need both genders.
We do.
You need men, you need boys to grow into men who believe that a woman has a seat at the table.
I agree.
So it's not just young girls, it's young people.
Yes.
Young people.
Start injecting that into them, at a very early age, the importance of having strong women. And for both the male perspective and the female perspective.
Yeah. I'm not sure you listened to the little video we played before you came on with Malcolm X.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've actually seen that video before.
Yeah, that's exactly what you just said. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please
Thank
don't
you
be
for having
quiet.
me.
Our daughters need you. Our sons need you.
Yes.
The nation needs you. We need your voice.
Yeah, I think I will. I've been, like I said, I've been on a break. I've been
sabbatical.
Yeah, my mind needed to. Ciao.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
You're not scared too long now. We'll
start to re-engage.
Okay.
Obviously, in a different manner than we have done it, before. Because I always believe in retooling and figuring out, how you did it before and how it didn't work, and figuring out how you can do it better the next time. So these are all some of the things that you start to think about how can I reach people in a different way, um, perhaps even outside of the political party process, because again, a lot of people, by the time you put out political party signal on, it's a blockage for some people.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so no matter what you have to say to them, they will always be looking at you like as though you're not saying this because it good for the party that So looking at approaching things from a non-political party perspective, and um, engaging with people regardless of the political parties that they support, especially young people, regardless of the political parties that they support or may support in the future. So having a space that is void of politics, I think, is very necessary. We need to create spaces that are inclusive and void of politics, void of tribalism, and void of this
Sexism.
massive division among the sexes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So those are the things that I'm thinking about going forward. And they're I support a lot of, not a lot, I support quite a few people who are working in this space already and doing some good jobs in that area. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you
Okay,
so
so
much.
let me let it, while we say thank you, make your calendar for October 18. We need you to our program in PA, but we send you formal letter just
In
so.
PA, you sending me ticket?
No, we said you will come. We
Your
not said you will
vacation
come.
around it. You wrap your vacation around it.
October 18th will be in school.
We'll talk to you in the back.
Okay.
So everybody, thank you for tuning in. Stay right where you are. We'll talk to all of you later. Thank you. Wadei, it was a powerful conversation. Everyone is in tune. I see people are talking about that you're very thorough, very thoughtful, very insightful. We needed to hear from, somebody who is inside, who understands what is happening. We come and we leave, but you understand, really, really what is happening around it.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for having me.